Nations all over the world are rumored to have recovered metal debris from UFO crashes. And some experts believe these fragments may contain secrets beyond imagination. How much do we really know about these mystery metals? Have they already found their way into our daily lives without us even knowing? And do they pose a grave danger we have yet to understand? From self-healing hulls to sinister alien implants, join us as the secrets of UFO metals are unsealed.
A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Alien Files, Unsealed. Exposing the biggest secrets on planet Earth.
Del Rio, Texas, 1955. Colonel Robert B. Willingham is part of a squadron participating in a simulated bombing exercise that spots a blazing ball of light, brighter than a star, speeding east across the sky. Willingham watches with growing curiosity until suddenly the object makes a 90-degree turn to the south. The pilot receives permission to investigate and sets out in pursuit. He follows the UFO toward the Rio Grande, where moments later, it shudders and falls from the sky, crashing into the riverbank on the Mexican side. Returning to base, Willingham enlists the help of a colleague, and together they fly a small training aircraft back to the impact site. There, they find Mexican troops standing guard over a silver disc embedded in the ground. Willingham is startled to see the bodies of 3 alien crew members. The Mexicans demand the Americans leave immediately. But before he goes, the pilot quietly picks up a small piece of debris.
We start utilizing technology that, from an evolutionary standpoint, was created 10,000 or 100,000 or even 1,000,000 years beyond who we are and what we are today. We start playing with that technology, it could be a very dangerous scenario.
Returning to base in Fort Worth, Willingham examines the fragment. Its interior is honeycombed, but the metal proves stronger than solid steel. His attempts to cut into it with a torch have no effect. The fragment is unlike any metal Willingham has ever seen before. But before he can probe its secrets any further, Willingham is ordered to hand over the fragment to a laboratory in Maryland. It's the last he will ever see or hear of the mysterious metal. Soon after, Willingham receives a threatening phone call, warning him to never disclose what he saw that day on the Mexican border. It will take over 20 years for the pilot to come forward with his story. What happened to the Del Rio fragment? Who threatened Robert Willingham? And why were they so desperate to silence him? Experts believe that for decades, the American military has been involved in a secret program to reverse engineer recovered alien artifacts into the next generation of high-tech weapons.
How do you develop a metal that's very light, very malleable, but at the same time stronger than steel? Maybe they existed from the future, maybe they existed on another planet, but once we got our hands on this technology, we were able to figure out what it was supposed to do, then use our own industrial methodologies, our own scientific methods to recreate it.
And some think that an alien metal may have already brought the next great leap in military technology. Unsealed case file. The Dolnogorsk incident. Dolnogorsk, Russia, January 29, 1986. Residents of this small mining town on the Soviet Union's Pacific coast watch in disbelief as a red sphere hurtles across the night sky before crashing into a mountainside. A crowd gathers at the point of impact. There, they discover a smoking crater surrounded by a wide area covered by a strange black film. On close inspection, the film contains strange metallic beads. The beads are discovered to be lead, but of a kind unlike anything seen before.
3 Soviet academic centers and 11 research institutes analyzed the objects from this UFO crash. The distance between atoms is different from ordinary iron in this material. Radar cannot be reflected from the material. Elements in the material may disappear and new ones appear after heating. One piece apparently disappeared completely in front of 4 witnesses.
The CIA launches its own investigation into the Dolnogorsk incident. A declassified 1989 report states that Soviet scientists are convinced the object was an extraterrestrial space vehicle constructed by highly intelligent beings. Samples of the metal are smuggled out of the country in the chaotic years following the fall of the Soviet Union. Recently, NASA's Langley Research Center announced the development of metal alloys that, when pierced by a bullet, will actually close behind the projectile as it passes through, healing the wound as though it was alive. Is NASA's new generation of living metal the result of the re-engineering of alien technology recovered at sites like Del Rio and Dolnogorsk? And what other effect might these exotic elements have on our future? Coming up, we investigate the potentially devastating toxic effects of UFO metals on Earth's already fragile environment.
Alien Files, Unsealed.
Many experts believe that alien metals recovered from crashed UFOs are secretly being re-engineered into the latest generation of military technology. But for every crashed UFO that is recovered, how many more land on Earth unnoticed? And what effect do these masses of alien metal have on our environment? Delphos, Kansas, November 2nd, 1971. 16-year-old Ron Johnson is working on the family farm when he spots a bizarre object hovering in the night sky. It's a metallic, mushroom-shaped craft, emitting a blinding light from its base. Ron runs to get his parents, but by the time they return, the UFO is almost out of sight. The craft, however, has left something behind. It's a glowing ring, burned into the ground. The Johnsons later describe it as a strange kind of crust, as if the soil was crystallized. Fascinated, Ron's mother touches the ring. Her fingers immediately go numb. Returning the next morning, the family finds that an overnight shower has left the ground soaking wet, but the encrusted ring is bone dry. Officers confirm the Johnsons' description of the ring. A UFO investigator visits the site to take samples of the soil ring for analysis. It's found to contain hydrocarbon particles unknown to science, along with a strange organic material made up of white, crystal-like fibers. But what could have caused this? What transformed normal soil into an entirely new substance? The answer may lie within the UFO's hull. Man-made spacecraft rely primarily on aluminum in the construction of the outer shell. But the periodic table of elements also includes a number of radioactive metals, materials comparatively rare here on Earth. Could the presence of these radioactive elements be abundant in alien metals? Was the hull of the Delphos UFO radioactive, or was it imbued with another cosmic power we have yet to understand? Just 2 years prior to the Delphos UFO, in 1969, the U.S. government passes the Extraterrestrial Exposure Law, making it illegal for any citizen to retrieve or be in the proximity of any personnel, spacecraft, or other property that has entered our atmosphere from outer space. Presented as a national security measure to prevent possible contamination, the law grants government agencies sweeping authority to force any violators into immediate quarantine. Do UFOs really pose a significant health risk to the public? Unsealed case file. The Tully Saucer Nest. Queensland, Australia, January 19, 1966. Farmer George Pedley watches in amazement as a massive metallic disc rises from a nearby lagoon. Clearing the treetops, it suddenly accelerates, vanishing into the distance. Pedley is astonished to feel the muddy floor is totally smooth, like the bottom of a swimming pool. The saucer has clearly been resting below the water's surface for some time. In the end, 5 more of these UFO nests are discovered on the farmer's land. The incident raises some disturbing questions. 70% of the world's surface is covered by oceans, lakes, and rivers. How many flying saucers lie hidden beneath? And do these strange new elements pose a threat to the human race? Coming up, we investigate documented cases of people coming into direct contact with alien metals and reveal their devastating effects.
Alien files, unsealed.
Many experts claim the mere presence of a UFO and the chemistry of its metal can radically affect Earth's already fragile environment. What happens when people come into direct contact with a metallic alien substance? Suffolk, England, December 27, 1980. American Air Force Sergeant James Peniston, stationed at RAF Bentwaters Woodbridge Air Base, receives a report of strange flashing lights in nearby Rendlesham Forest. Accompanied by Airman John Burroughs, Peniston sets out to investigate what he fears to be a crashed aircraft.
When Burroughs and Peniston approached the site, they found in a small clearing not a crashed aircraft, but a landed UFO.
Peniston and Burroughs are shocked to discover a triangular-shaped UFO with strange markings on its hull that bear an uncanny resemblance to Egyptian hieroglyphics. Peniston reaches out and touches the hull. It's smooth and metallic, and he senses something like an electrical current running through his hand and into his forearm. 45 minutes after they made first contact, the UFO disappears into the night sky at what Peniston later describes as impossible speed. But for James Peniston and John Burroughs, the encounter will have a devastating effect on the rest of their lives.
For me, shortly after the incident happened, I started not feeling well. At one point, my gums turned white. A couple, 3 months later, while home on leave, I became very ill and went into the emergency room. Okay, the doctor there listened to my chest and came back and says, well, what does the Air Force say about heart murmurs? And I looked at him and I says, I don't have a heart murmur.
What happened to James Peniston and John Burroughs? Did they fall prey to the toxic effect of the UFO's metal hull? And what else are these exotic elements capable of? Unsealed case file. The Cash Landrum Incident. Dayton, Texas, December 29th, 1980. Betty Cash, Vicki Landrum, and Landrum's grandson Colby are traveling a rural highway at night when out of nowhere, a bright diamond-shaped object appears above their car. The two women stop and get out for a better view, only to step inside a wall of blazing heat emanating from the object. Moments later, a group of 24 unmarked helicopters appear in the air overhead. But before they can intercept the UFO, it shoots off into the night at terrific speed. In the days that follow, both women begin to feel ill. Cash is hit especially hard. 2 weeks after the incident, she is admitted to hospital, and her worst fears are realized. Betty Cash has developed skin cancer. She will survive the disease, but the terrifying experience will haunt her for the rest of her life. Doctors suspect all 3 occupants of the car were exposed to a strange form of ionizing radiation. Could even the briefest exposure to UFO metals result in a lifetime of physical trauma?
We know that science is not right all the time. As quickly as we're putting it into the history books, we're rewriting it. The people we hold in the highest regards as the smartest scientists in our history, we're proving them wrong.
Some ufologists believe there is an even more sinister phenomena attributed to extraterrestrial metals. One that, at least on the surface, does not appear to physically harm its host. And according to some, many more people have been exposed than we could possibly know. According to one estimate, 10 million people worldwide claim to have been abducted by aliens in the half-century since records began. And some return with more than just the emotional scars of their experience.
When you look at these objects through a microscope at low magnification, 50 to 100 power, which is a typical biological microscope, you can see a little piece of metal sticking out covered with some kind of biological tissue.
Dr. Roger Lear specializes in alien implants, shards of metal placed by extraterrestrials in the bodies of abductees. Their true purpose remains a mystery. Some believe implants are a means of mind control. Others think they are a means of genetically altering people into alien-human hybrids. Lear is convinced they pose a danger and has spent the last 50 years surgically removing them. And according to him, it's a task with no end in sight.
In the abduction phenomena, there is apparently 10 to 15% of those who we believe are true abductees that might have been implanted. Now, we're talking about implants that are visible on an X-ray or a CAT scan.
Based on Lear's estimates, up to 1 million people may be carrying alien implants. And some experts believe millions more may have been abducted with no memory of the horrific experience. Are undetected alien metals transforming the very fabric of our lives into the time bombs of alien apocalypse?